Hello everyone and welcome once again to yet another track guide video for ACC, this time looking at the Autodromo Enzo Edino Ferrari, so Imola. Best known for its two sections, so Acqua Minerali and Variante Alta, which tend to be a nightmare if you don't know how to approach them. So for corner entry, there's no surprise, we go as far right as we can without touching the grass, and we brake just as we pass the patch of dirt on the right. You can brake very late in the BMW, and this is what we do. We shift down all the way to third or second, depending on how much speed you can actually carry through the chicane. In my case, it was second because I had to correct it a little bit. So for the corner entry here, you can take a little bit of the sausage curves on the left. If you take too much, you'll hit them with your floor, which will send your car into the air and completely ruin your lap. So be careful with those. Now, as we cross the first apex, this is pretty much where we want to be all full throttle already. When done right, this is not such a big problem, but you have to be careful as you go through the second apex. Here, once again, you can take the sausage, just don't take too much of it, because once again you will be launched into the air, which is very bad, obviously. So careful through that apex as well. Take some of the room to the left, don't go too far wide, because you need to be able to get a good entry for the last part of that chicane. So you can go pretty far to the left, but not too much. In this case, I went a little bit too wide to the left, so I had to take the sausage on the exit of this corner, which is not ideal. Again, it will unsettle the car. So preferably you wouldn't take too much of those sausages on the inside here, which I did, which is not perfect. Right? We obviously want to be full throttle throughout pretty much the whole section here. So try to take a line that actually allows you to do it. So not too much turning, and don't go too far wide after the second apex, essentially. Take as much room as you need to the right, and the curb's yours. It's very stable, just don't hit the sand. It will slow you down. Your lap will still be valid, but it will slow you down severely. So for the Variante Villeneuve, we brake just as we pass the 50-meter board. We turn in immediately and do the braking. Not too much, because we want to carry some of the speed through this corner, because we still have some room before the next corner, before turn 6. So in this case, just like in the Variante Tamburello, we do want to take a little bit of the sausage. We do want to take it because we want to cut this corner, but if you take too much, you will hit it with your floor. Right, so be sure that it's actually your wheels that mount those curbs and not your floor. Right, this will again send you into the air. So as you can see, we carry quite a lot of speed over here. I did shift down to third, did a little braking, and then trying to hit the apex on the right, on the inside. Once again, don't take too much of that sausage. It will upset your car. So the key to getting this section right is to carry as much speed through the T5 and T6. Right, so we brake out the 50-meter board. We don't brake all that much. As you can see, I'm done braking before the first apex. I did add a little of the throttle, which in this case was actually a mistake, because I did carry a little too much speed in this corner, and as I went flat out on the last apex here, I did actually touch the sand on the outside, which did take like 500 of my time. So be careful with that. We do want to hit throttle as soon as possible as we hit that last apex, but you have to be careful not to go too wide. The curb is yours to use. Again, it's very safe. It's the sand that will kill your lap time. So for the T7, we in the BMW brake a little bit after the 50-meter board. Right, so we again brake very late. we do turn in quite soon. This is a kind of a carousel corner, but not much coasting going on here. We want to trail brake as far as we can into the corner. This is a one apex corner, so we want to hit it somewhere in the middle. Shifting down to first. So here again, we are very soon on full power. So you have to be pretty careful here. You can take the curb on the inside, but I don't really recommend it. Your car is much more likely to oversteer if you touch it. So stay close to it, don't take too much of that curb. To make our exit easier, we obviously take all the curb we can on the right. Curbs on Imola are great, are very safe as long as there's no sausage on it. So you can take all of that curb, is very stable in the dry, and you can go flat out thanks to that curb very soon. Now for the next corner, we brake very late in the W again. This is after the 50-meter board. The point for me to brake is right when this dust sand patch meets my dashboard. This is where I brake. From fourth, shifting down to third, and I brake for quite a while. In this case, I do some trail braking, which allows me to brake that late. We're going for the apex, and just like any of the corners I have discussed previously, be careful with the sausage. It can really upset your car. So hitting that curb, getting on the power as we hit it again, as soon as we possibly can. We do take the curb on the outside, just be careful with track limits. Your inner wheels still have to be on the track, so if you cross the white line with your inner wheels, the lap will be invalidated. Slowly turning in to the left side of the track and setting up for the Aqua Minerali, which is a nightmare to get right. It's really difficult to get it right, and it's a very, very risky and unstable corner. So, in the BMW, we go all the way to the left, obviously, taking all the curb we can. We start turning in basically at the 50-meter board. We're still on throttle. I did brake a tiny little bit to help with the car rotating. You can see, actually you can see it pretty clearly that the car starts rotate somewhere around this point much quicker. This is because of the touch of the brakes that I did. Curb and sausage, the same rules apply. Don't take too much of that sausage. Now the way I do this corner, I pretty much start braking after the apex, just a little bit, and then go almost 100% of brakes on brakes. Now you could do it with 100% brake pressure, but I couldn't really do it all that often because this is where your rear will basically step out if you brake and turn in too hard, especially in the BMW where the brake bias is moved far backwards. It can be very unstable, especially for me. I'm running 51.5 brake bias, so it tends to get very oversteer, as you can see on this example. So going back to the Hotlap, right? We do start braking around where the apex is, shifting down to second. Take the curb. Again, it's a safe curb as long as you stay with your inner wheels on the tarmac. If you go too far left, you might even touch the outside of the curb with your underfloor and basically go straight. So braking here, mastering trail braking is crucial to not lose too much speed, because for this section here, as we are leaving the curb on the left, we do want to carry as much speed as we can. So trail braking is essential. If you brake too hard, you obviously lose too much speed and you have to accelerate more to get up to speed. If you go too quickly, you will basically go straight and you have to brake later, which obviously is not good. We want to get on the power as soon as possible without losing too much speed throughout the corner. Right, so trail braking here, same story with the sausage. take the curb, don't take too much sausage. And we want to get on the power as we are on the apex here. So again, going full throttle, taking all the curb to the left. Again, avoid the sausages on the left. And now for the second very difficult section of the track, so the Variante Alta, so the last chicane on this track. Just like Acqua Minerali, it's very difficult to get right. It's very dangerous. In the BMW, we take all the curves that we can on that chicane, which is good because you can take it more straight and basically gain a lot of time if you do it right. But it's bad for corner exit because you basically are airborne. You land, and this when you are on power, when you land, it will get very unstable. So it is not an easy task to do this right. So taking the curb on the left again, we start braking just as the curb starts, just a little bit after. So where I brake is just as I go through the colored part of this curb. This is where I start braking, shifting down to second. I found myself that second is enough. When you go to first, your engine does a lot of braking and you basically slow down too much, and it's easier for you on the exit to start from second. So yeah, braking as the colored curb starts, slowly turning in. And the trick here is to take a lot of those sausages. In this case, we do want to take a lot of that curb while still keeping the inner wheels within the track limits. So we basically mount all of them. Basically rolling from the first apex. And here again on this Hotlap, I did use quite a lot of throttle through this section, which ultimately has sent me a little bit too far to the outside. So this is not a perfect curb. You could gain like a tenth here, or maybe even more. But the point is to take the curb, the first curb, let the car roll through this section, start turning in as you are about to mount this second curb. The same principle applies. We do want to take a huge amount of that curb, but still keeping the inner wheels on the track. And the exit is very difficult, but unfortunately it's also crucial to have a good stable exit. So in this Hotlap, I was still turning in quite hard as I was exiting the corner, and you can see I was actually facing, my car was actually facing quite far to the outside, which is not great. So in the end, as I went on the power, I did oversteer a little. So ideally, what you would do is take this second curb while turning in with no throttle, and as you land, you just go full throttle as you are already facing the track. Right, and we go back to the sausage rule from before. We take all the curb we can, the colored curb that we can, without hitting the sausage here. The curb's width actually pretty much matches the width of the car, so if you go on the sausage, you will invalidate your lap anyway. So do avoid those sausages here. Right, ideally without that oversteer, going in and preparing for the last section, so Rivata. Braking very late in the BMW after the 100 meter board. So I don't know, that would be like 85, 80 meters maybe. This is where we would start braking in the BMW, shifting down to second or first. In this case, I did shift to second because I did get a bit too excited and went a little deep. But the second gear should be enough. And in this corner, there's no sausage fortunately, so you can take pretty much all of the curb. So no worries here, this should be pretty stable. Anyway, the exit from this corner is not very important because we do have some braking to do in a couple of meters. So as you hit the apex, go on throttle, not to waste time, and prepare for the last corner. Again, colored curbs are good, so take all of that curb. And I start turning in as the curb ends. From the perspective that I'm using is basically where all I can see is just this colored curb without the outside part of it. So this is where I would start turning in and braking. This is not a very long corner, but there's not much braking going on. All right, so we do brake a little. We carry the speed through this corner. Don't hit too much of the sausage again. It's fine to take the curb, but be careful with the sausage. And this is a corner before a very long pit straight, so it is essential to get the exit right. You can lose a lot of time, especially during a race. If you get a bad exit, if someone is behind you getting on slipstream, you will most likely be overtaken. Right, so just like with many other corners, just as we hit the apex, we do want to be on full throttle. The curbs are good, take them, but it is the most important part of the track where you don't want to hit the sand. The sand, you might not get much oversteer, you might not spin. The car should be stable, but you lose tons and tons of time. So whatever you do, don't hit that sand. It's better to lift and then go back on the power instead of going on that sand. It's really, really bad for your exit. Right, and that's pretty much it. Maybe the one last note: when you're hot lapping, you want to be as far to the right as possible to keep the track as short as possible, but don't go too far to the right. Because in the BMW you can actually, I don't know about other cars, but BMW you can actually invalidate your lap here. So if you go too close to the wall, all of your wheels will be outside of the white line and you will invalidate your lap. So if you are on the good lap, just make sure that you don't go too far to the right here. Alright, and that will be it. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think. The Hotlap here was not perfect. It was a 140.6, so it's still a very decent time. You could definitely do 140.4s or maybe even 0.3s. The car definitely has the potential to do it. I unfortunately didn't manage to do such a valid lap. But anyway, it's still a good lap, still a good reference, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers.